So it just gets really, really frustrating. But at the same time, I don't want to say it's funny, haha, per se, but it is funny that it's like, here we go. And when he first came out, I was just like, I don't like Alec Baldwin. I don't like anything about him.
Well, we've discussed that.
But I was like, you know what? He seems genuine. Like, I want to get to the bottom of this and what happened. But then the second, now he's dodging all the accountability.
Kept his mouth shut.
I really think if kept his mouth shut and hey, you want to let that guy in?
I guess so.
We got some homeless guy that's hanging out, and anyway, so I just wish people would take the accountability for that, and people, of course, people are always like, well, you weren't there, you don't know what happens. I'm like, oh, exactly, but I'm allowed to have an opinion of what information I've seen. But anyway, so Juicy Smollett.
Well, another case that's happening too is the whole Ghislaine Maxwell thing.
Right.
That's I'm sure you've seen the story. The pilot's singing like a canary. So that's all the people that were on the plane. I mean, he was laying out.
There's some really wrong memes going on about that.
Kevin Spacey was a passenger.
Yeah, and I've known that for a while. There's a handful of guys that I always loved as actors that it's just like, like all my heroes are either literally dying or they're just dead to me.
Prince Andrew, I mean, it's craziness.
It's craziness. And so it's just, and once again, it's like, is it all in that same kind of ring? I'm like, no, but there's no way they didn't know about it if they were flying and they were at the island. There's no way. To me, if you're hush hush about it, it's just as bad. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because, like, even on the Family Guy, there's lots of little clues that he threw out there. Like, there's a part where Baby Stewie's running naked, saying, "Help, Kevin Spacey's after me."
Yep.
And he was poking that bear.
Oh,
trying
sure.
to bring awareness years before it came out.
MacFarlane. Oh, absolutely. And did you know that Seth MacFarlane was supposed to be on one of the 9/11 flights?
Yep.
Really?
He was supposed to be on one. He missed it for whatever reason, but Seth MacFarlane would be dead.
And the interesting thing is that he's like,
and I think that humbled him even more. I mean, he's
sure.
Well, he's also not very like, well, if I now have a purpose because I didn't die. He's not taking it to the other extreme. He's just
right.
Like,
no,
it didn't happen. Okay, let's make good content.
Yeah, let's make good content. And he's another one of those guys that I love and admire. And I think he makes his opinion, and I don't always agree with it, whatever like that. But I never feel he never pisses off a bunch of people, and he pisses off everybody. Like, no one's safe. Like, the person he makes fun of the most is Seth Green, and that's his cast member,
Right.
And so it's just like, I've always admired that. People are like, well, he said this, and I don't agree with that. I'm going, you don't have to. There's no one I'm ever going to agree everything with. Like, Carla and I don't agree on everything.
I don't agree with myself all the time.
I don't either. There's plenty of times where I wake up and I went, I'm like, you know what? You didn't
only agree with two of the four voices in my head.
That's right. That's right. It's a constant battle between.
The other two have great ideas.
They do. Two of them get me in trouble. Two of them get me in trouble constantly. And
private chat over there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Who we get? Oh,
we're in trouble.
Live, not low. Live, not low.
Read the first one, Goof.
Live. Oh, did you forget how to go live on Facebook? Got to give me a heads up when you're going live so I can get you low. You need to learn to type or quit drinking in the morning.
Or drink better.
Oh, I thought you just always did that now. Golly.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I can't work in these conditions. I would like to speak to an HR representative.
We need to double our pay.
Yes. Though ho, she called me a hoe.
Well,
no,
if the shoe fits.
The shoe fits. Get out of the kitchen.
We are not politicians.
You want a weenie in the butt?
No.
Okay. Weenie in the butt. Weenie in the butt. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay, here we go. They're already dodging bullets. There was a third one too. There was something else I was thinking of that's kind of going on right now. But before you got here, we were talking about the Baldwin saying my finger wasn't on the trigger.
And we brought up Juicy Smollett.
Juicy Smollett.
Did you hear the latest on that? Where they now have footage of him
that's
doing the dry practice?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I leave it up to an actor to have to rehearse his lie.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta make sure my lie is perfect. And the funniest part about the Chappelle thing is when he's talking about how the guys were talking, like, why people don't talk that way. It sounds like something that I would say.
A MAGA hat.
Things like Empire. They don't know who this guy is. They don't watch Empire, Yeah, MAGA hats. Find out what Kanye West was last night. And so that's another guy too, where he's just not backing down. And people, he's not gonna.
And the school's going ahead with the naming rights.
Yep. Yeah. Did you hear about that part? There's something with is it a school being named after Chappelle?
It's the school he graduated from.
Mm-hmm.
It's an art school in DC.
Oh.
And the students came up and said, well, we don't like what he said, so we don't want you to name rename it after him.
They can piss off.
And Dave Chappelle said, okay, I was going to give $100,000, so let's make it. Let's put your wallet where your mouth is, and whoever donates more on the for or the against, we'll go ahead and go with that decision. So if more people on your side can raise up that kind of money, I won't do it. But if you want, if my fans, if you want to support it and make me name this, do it. And now this
went through the roof.
We're gonna go ahead and stick with the naming this the Chappelle. After a large amount of money shows up.
Oh, I'm sure.
Love it.
It was well over 100.
And I have a lot of admiration for someone who truly sticks to what they believe in consistently, whether I agree with them or not. Because there's certain things that he says that I'm like, I may not pretty agree with it, but he has ground for his opinion, as opposed to just, well, that's how he's like, no, he's got grounds for his opinion. And so I have a lot of admiration for him. I always have. And so last night I had to watch the movie Screwed. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
It's him and Norm Macdonald.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of another one of those movies that never really went anywhere that I love.
Yep.
Those are my favorite ones, but it's basically Norm Macdonald plays butler to this rich woman who made her fortune in bakery, right? Like Chappelle's his buddy that owns a chicken shack, Roscoe's Chicken Shack or whatever. And so this lady's really, really, really mean to him. So they decide that they're going to kidnap her dog for $1 million, and the whole thing goes wrong, right? And this whole thing, but it's really hysterical. Danny DeVito's in it.
Oh my gosh,
he plays this crazy mortician. And it's just you should watch it. It's really good. I mean, if you like the dirty works and those offbeat kind of,
is it on Netflix or
I actually own it. So if you can't find it, let me know. I'll get a DVD.
Okay.
But
I'll look it up. VHS.
Yeah.
No, I don't have it on VHS.
Betamax.
Laserdisc. I actually have a working Laserdisc player
that
my grandfather left me, and
that's rad.
So if you know anything from
the, Roger Rabbit,
I don't. No. So my family as a whole, we kind of have this favorite movie of the family that's always brought us together. We grew up watching it at my grandparents' house, and
Deep
it's
Throat?
No, that's not. That was College Family.
Okay, sorry.
Oh. No, Behind the Green Door. No, it's called Private Eyes, and it's an old Don Knutts Tim Conway movie. Okay. And Tim Conway was he was the guy who got me. It was him, then Robin Williams, and then kind of Jim Carrey as far as people that I really looked at as far. And now it's
Don Rickles, man.
Yeah.
That stuff.
I mean, there's just a lot of those, but it's a hilarious movie, but we have it on Laserdisc. And so he kept his Laserdisc after all these years.
That's amazing.
We also have The Sting on Laserdisc.
Oh, okay.
And a couple of others. But so they left it to me when they passed.
Nice.
And so we actually hooked it up and watched the actual Private Eyes Laserdisc, because I have it on DVD too. But and it was like, wow. I mean, it was, so it was really, really cool. And people are like, well, what's that worth? I'm like, nothing probably. But
you might be surprised.
Which you'd be surprised. Well, what's really interesting is because that was before VHS tape, but it actually had sections it would skip to, like a DVD does.
Well, no, Laserdisc became big when VHS was already out still.
Was it like, the original, like maybe beta or something like that?
So
but it came in and then left like as fast as it was.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably because they were big, huge, and stuff like
records,
that. But
but they said that the interesting thing is supposedly on the Laserdisc version, there's a part in Jessica Rabbit is topless in the movie.
Interesting.
So a bunch of people are going and trying to buy the Laserdisc so they could see that.
Really?
Back in like 92, 93.
Because they want to see a naked drawing.
Yes.
With all the free porn on the website, they're looking for a.
But back in the 90s, that wasn't readily accepted.
There was no acceptance of MAGA. Was it MAGA or the MAGA? Whatever the cartoons.
MAGA hats. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, is
Kanye in town?
Is Kanye in town? No, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I feel pretty confident my granddad never had that. So
yeah. And the other useless information in my brain is that the reason VHS was the dominant is because porn industry chose VHS over beta.
Yes, I
even
do
though
remember
beta
that story.
Was a better
the quality
quality
makes sense.
They just basically whatever Blu-ray all that stuff. It always wherever porn goes is where people decide.
Well, I remember the first 3 or 4 XXX movies I did. I mean, it was. Oh God. But no.
Yeah. So are you the guy that cleaned up the set, or what?
I am, yeah. And I
use the fluffer.
Yeah, it's like all you do is clean up the set, man. Once you get a real job, I'm like, what? Quit show business?
It's my big break.
That's my big break. I'm the jizz mopper.
Jizz mopper number 2. That's me. That's my credits. That's
right.
My fake name.
Make $4.25 a day. I'm not giving up show business. What's wrong with you?
All the coke I wanted.
Oh God. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's you ever watch? I think I've talked about this before. One of my favorite shows is but the first 12 seasons of SVU, I really liked when Christopher Maloney was still on it as Stabler and stuff like that. But there's one where
he's on the new spin. There's another one. He's back.
Organized crime.
He's on
and there's two. There's been 2 and the second season was really cool. Pretty much spends the whole time undercover as this mobster kind of thing. Is actually really, really good. But it's different because the organized crime, they kind of do it more like almost like a docu-series where all 8 really tie into each other as one big story. As for SVU is always kind of, I mean, you could literally just, a lot of times you could just kind of watch one episode and then it would conclude, in that same episode.
Right.
As for this one, it was just kind of a continuation. And I think they're just 8 per, but I was really excited when they came back. And then there's a little bit of the SVU back and forth.
Gotcha.
Maloney's, he's a great actor. But there's one where there's this guy who they have all these medical payments, stuff like that. So he actually ends up doing gay porn, but he's straight because apparently there's tons and tons of money in that. Right. And so his wife is also a porn star and she ends up leaving to go off and do, so it's just kind of one of those things, but,
there's they had moral conflicts with him doing gay porn.
No, it wasn't that at all. It was good, but he literally, he kind of had no choice. So here's my question with that. Anyways, and playing that guy is, I can't remember the guy's name, the actor's name, but he played Zach Morris in Saved by the Bell, whatever that guy's name. I can't think of it is. I just went off.
Mark Paul Gosselaar.
Thank you. Yes. And so he's playing that part.
Useless trivia.
But it's one of those things where I'm watching it. It's a really intense episode. It's really cool. But then I'm thinking, can you have gay sex on camera, but be straight? I mean, I guess you can if you really don't like, so that's kind of one of those things where it's like, is it the action doesn't necessarily make you gay. It's the emotions, right?
My mom asked me to define the LGBTQ plus. I couldn't give her a straight answer.
Oh, God, there we go. Oh, that was cool. Yeah, no, I couldn't give her a straight answer. Yeah, but I was just like, I guess you
Next
can.
week we're going to be picketed out here.
No, man, we didn't say anything against it.
I'm
not enough people are listening to get picketed.
Clearly.
Yeah, I'm against picketing. I just don't know how to show it. Mitch Hedberg. Anyway, so it's just kind of like, okay, that's interesting. But apparently he made really good money being straight. But the other thing is like, how do the guys watching know, oh, it's a straight guy that's having sex with gay? So why would the money be any different if gay on gay or straight on gay?
I don't know.
Or straight on straight, or is there straight on straight anymore?
Straight on.
Probably a hate crime.
It's a hate crime.
It's not culturally appropriated.
It's not culturally appropriate. I don't know, man. It's a strange dog world out there. And
yeah, I got to go see Bert Kreischer this weekend.
Ooh, okay.
And
where?
He was over in Grand Prairie at that place next to the racetrack. The Texas Trust CU.
Yes.
Oh, right. Yeah. Whatever it is. Yeah.
But he had a bit with his dog about his daughter. She's like, you don't like this? That means you're racist. Like, no, that means that's nothing. That I'm not racist. That's a word. And
right.
This is over here, and you're over there.
Right.
It was just kind of like this.
It's true.
She's just like, yeah. It was.
You don't believe me? Watch the Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
Yes.
About the racist guy who shot other white people.
Yes.
And here's my question: why isn't the guy who attacked him with the gun not under arrest and have a trial for attempted murder?
Because he got a plea deal to testify.
Yep.
Makes sense. But that was really smart of the prosecution. They have no chance of winning, but you're going to give this guy a plea deal who actually should be charged in prison.
Yes. Well, the other funny part was the whole media saying he was killed. I was like, you mean the guy that's over there that you could go interview?
Yeah.
The guy that got shot that started this whole thing?
Yeah.
Right.
He was shot and even said, hey, guys, getting shot sucks really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I pointed my gun at him, and dude. And to me, can you imagine being the prosecuting attorney, knowing you made a deal with that guy, and then him on the I pointed a gun at him. I'm going, what is that? But maybe that's why he said it, because he knew he had immunity.
Right.
So he was like, and then I was like, oh, so now your conscience gets the best of you? You don't want to lie under oath because you don't want to perjury or whatever?
Then he went right onto the TV shows and then started lying again. So,
I know. It was just, people, no one's, there's only a few people in the courtroom, right? And I'm like, no, there's millions and millions of people in the courtroom. You just don't realize it.
Right.
I don't know, man.
Did we talk about Chris Como?
No, we haven't yet.
No, we haven't.
That was the other one.
Yeah,
that was the other one that I was talking about. So it's like, oh, there's a shock. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I never went to CNN for any of my opinions.
No.
But I mean, it just, goes to show you everything, they'd rather distance themselves from any controversy whatsoever. I mean, yes, they did. And since they were supporting him for a while, and then all of a sudden, when it kind of facts come clear, and it's like, we got to protect ourselves somehow, I guess. I don't know.
It's really funny how a lot of the people that were on the same side are separating each other a lot right now. And, which I think is a good thing in some ways, where it's like, you can be so woke that you're asleep, it's
So being woke doesn't mean you have an opinion. It just means you're like, oh, there's a sign. What's the sign say? Oh, that's my new opinion.
Yeah, it's an entitlement kind of a thing of, but and that's what I'm saying is, if you truly have an opinion and can back it up, I have respect for that, whether I agree with it or not. I truly, truly do.
Sure.
I mean, when we were in school, we had to take debate. We literally had to debate things with factual information. Because I remember when I was in debate.
Did you ever master that? Or?
I did. I mastered debater.
I saw that coming with just
dude, that doesn't help either.
Lights.
This is 3, 2,
that line didn't help either. Yeah,
that was our dry run, our juicy.
Our juicy smollett.
Dry run.
Who's black and gay, not just French. Oh, Chappelle! If you haven't seen that, you need to watch it. It's hysterical. But anyway, I remember having to, we did a debate on tobacco. And I was against it. Like at the time, my parents smoked. I hated smoking, but I had to argue for it, which forced me to go and learn a lot about the tobacco industry. That I went, oh, I didn't realize, where tobacco taxes go and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And then it's people do have the freedom to choose. And I remember literally studying that and going through, realizing that, okay, I still don't like it. And it's not a thing, but I understand now the industry from the opposite, because I was forced to, and I'm like, but there's none of that. And honestly, the teachers who are teaching don't even do that.
This segment is brought to you by Marlboros.
Yeah, exactly.
Philip Morris sponsors.
Yeah. But it is kind of that thing where it's like, okay, you can choose to smoke. I don't care. And there's a lot of people will say that. I'm going, well, you understand there's a lot of that. The tobacco tax takes care of a lot of our issues for us in a good way.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you agree, and I'm so, that's what I'm saying. Let's go. Let's get prostitution going. Let's get pot going. Let's tax the crap out of it.
I mean, that's the whole thing with the whole.
Quit taxing us to death.
The whole marijuana, the legalizing marijuana thing. It's. I mean, you know how much tax money would be raised by just legalizing it, and it's holy Moses, man. It'd be incredible.
It's a natural plant. Like, I mean, just there's certain things where I'm like, I don't care for it. I don't use it. I've never, but I'm like, come on, it just doesn't make how am I allowed to drink this poison, this horrible monster drink that's got nothing but poison in it, and it's fine,
because you buy it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's
if nobody bought it would be gone
because it's taxed.
That too.
Because there's no such thing as Monster Madness made in the 40s.
I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Do you know that reference?
Yes. Yeah. Is it anything close to Monster Mash? No. Okay. Too soon. Okay.
No.
They have an
Monster Mash.
Have you heard the updated version of Monster Mash?
No.
Somebody put it together, and it's like all like Freddy Krueger and all the
awesome.
And so it's
all the slasher guys.
It's still the same theme, that music, but it's
that's hilarious.
An updated version.
Why don't I think of stuff like that? Because I'm too busy trying to find a career. Instead of just doing stuff.
You're not just sitting around in a room for hours and hours just thinking of random shit to do.
No. I'm usually in a setting of different rooms where I'm thinking of random shit to do. Right. And I'm not at home.
I'm in a box being told to think outside of a box.
That's right. I don't even know. I didn't even know there was a box. Like, I mean, that's the thing that I remember my dad telling me when he was in college and he took a psychology class. In the final, he goes, "We go to take the final. I open the final. It's blah blah blah." And because at the time, you would open it, right? Because it was paid like the books, right? So he opens that and it says, "Why?" That's the final exam for his philosophy. It was philosophy class, sorry. And so my dad goes, "Because." Turns it in, right? 97, I think, is what he got on or something. The only guy who aced it was the guy who put why not.
Why not?
Right.
Yeah.
Now everyone else is just, all this stuff. I mean, my dad was like, because it was just the whole point was this is all philosophy. This is all, but we don't know.
Right.
The whole thing was, and it was just hilarious. He goes, "Man, that was like the quickest test I ever took." And then he was mad because he didn't think of why not, whatever. But
I think another one I've heard that is the chair, where it was a philosophy class, and it's like he put a chair on the table and said, "Prove to me this chair is not here." And the only guy that passed the test says, "What chair?"
Yeah, exactly. And then left. It's true though.
Yeah.
Which to me is the beauty of everything from a certain perception.
Like, let's go ahead and cut through the chase. Let's give this guy a degree. Let's
yeah. And I remember, some of the best thing to watch are those, the kid answers on test where they're not wrong. It's just
right.
because did you guys ever have to take the test that said and the teacher said, make sure you read the instructions before you take the test. And the instruction says, this is not a real test. Just turn it back in.
No.
And everyone's just filling it out, but if they had read the instructions,
right,
they would just not have to do it. Right. And I remember doing that. And I totally started just taking the test.
I always started panicking when the smart kid was like, "Son of a gun." It's like, oh no, I'm in trouble.
He's in trouble.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm cheating off the other guy who made a 12 on his last test. This guy made a 20. We're going to call him the brain. We'll start cheating off that guy.
We got 5 points just for our name.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I remember at one time there was we had taken a test where we had a teacher that if you didn't put your name on it, it was minus 10 points. And then the kid next to me was a 10-point question test and he missed them all and forgot to put his name on it. So he made a negative 10. And so the teacher's sitting and she hands it to them. And she goes, and just out, because this was in the days where you were accountable for stuff and you could say harsh things to get people a lesson. But she goes, made a negative 10 on this test. You made the same score that desk would have made if it took the test.
That's amazing.
It's just got, what? You were sick and didn't know? Okay. I should probably read what she said to him. Anyway, we're going to be back here in just a minute. We're going to continue on our random conversation.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leach Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson, Cleburne, Texas. Leach Brothers has been family-owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
So here's a headline that I read the other day in a collection of bad headlines. It says, yeah, did it. We hate math, say 4 in 10, a majority of Americans. And there we go. Somebody somewhere edited that and went, print it.
Let's go.
I love it.
Looks good.
Breathing oxygen linked to staying alive.
That's a vicious rumor.
Marijuana issue sent to a joint committee. China may be using sea to hide its submarines.
Interesting.
And Diana was still alive hours before she died.
That's I've heard that.
Man kills himself and runs away. This is one of my favorites. Think of a headline, 56-point bold headline. That's when you really can't come up with an idea for the paper. Just, I don't know, put the template on there and see what happens.
We're in a test.
And according to the World Bank, it says poor people need more money. So there you go. That's your headline.
Hot off the presses.
I just love it. Tiger Woods plays with own balls, Nike says.
That's one of my favorite COVID videos. I don't know if you've seen the one where they're at the tennis court. You'll have to search it, and it's a woman who's giving instructions to how to use the public court. And she's talking about how you're not going to play with the other person's balls, but you have to get you have family members. You can play with each other's balls. It's just this whole awkward
satire.
12-year-old laughing of her trying to get through this about telling people how to use a tennis court.
Okay.
Oh, goodness gracious. It's like the old Kmart. I shipped my pants.
We've been doing that at Tarpley.
Yeah. I shipped my pants. I shipped my bed. Yeah,
hey, honey, I shipped my pants here.
It's just like, it's brilliant. Try that. You can't do that anymore. And it's funny that people were talking about with how things are. And I said, if you really look at it, it's like everything's, we've come so far from the 50s. And I'm like, well, we're going back to the 50s. We're segregating ourselves. Everyone's being censored. Comedians, you're afraid to say anything. You're right. It is the 50s again.
Exactly.
So how is that progression? Well,
the nice thing is some of the big names are finally starting to stand up.
Yep.
Because I don't know if you guys saw Silverman this weekend,
which was mind blowing because she is left.
Yeah, because Joy Reid made some argument about DeSantis reestablishing the military. It's like 200 people, volunteers.
Okay.
22 other states already have it. And Joy Reid put it like, look, he's going to form an army to overtake the government. He's going to be under his control. And Silverman's like, guys, the truth has to matter. It's essential we at least talk about the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weird having
which is
her
mind-boggling,
especially for her.
You know why they are? Because it's now affecting their pockets.
True.
That's exactly why a lot of those they're going, oh, wait a minute. I could yell and scream at the top of my lungs because, about wait a minute, but now it's affecting me and my little community in my house behind security guards. So now I'm going to say that. And I believe that. I know it's kind of a jaded asshole way of looking at it, but I believe that. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Now it's affecting us. You're going to only be able to yell so much about, gun control and all things like that. It's like the pattern is constantly people who don't know what they're doing having the accidents. Right. There's no history of responsible gun owners who are trained having it very rarely, and those kinds of things.
AKA Baldwin.
Yeah. And so, and it's just, and then someone was talking about with Dwayne Johnson. They're like, oh, Dwayne Johnson's going all wacky. And he's another guy that I really admire in a lot of ways. I don't agree with a lot of stuff he says.
Sure.
But I admire him because he's, in some ways I do. But he was talking about how he goes in all of his movie sets, they're not going to use actual real guns anymore.
I heard that.
Yeah. And so, and
he doesn't have control of that unless he's the executive producer
right.
on every one of his films from now on.
Yeah. If it's movies, which he usually is.
That's how you get the bigger paycheck.
Well, and the other thing is that
if you take
that on scratch surface, it's like, oh, now he's going. It's like, well, no, he's not saying he's anti-gun. Is if you go and I actually kind of read, it's like, oh, all right, what's he really saying? And I go and he's like, we have the technology and the ability to not have to use them, and it looked very, very real. So why?
It's cheap.
It's cheaper, and and so I'm like, okay, well that makes sense. He goes, so why even have it out there?
Why make a risk?
And I was like, I agree with that. On the other hand, there's still a lack of education with guns. You're still, if you're going to glorify them to me, on TV, and you're going to have a violent movie or whatever, then you need to have that real, hey, this is really what happens when
just
you have
whitewashing it.
Yeah, it's kind of whitewash. So I'm kind of torn on that too. But
Sure.
at least I see his understanding. It's not, all guns should be taken away. It's like, well, why put that? I'm like, well, I agree with that, but on the flip side of that, it's like because it's a respect thing and it's a training thing. I mean, all my friends had 22 rifles in the parking lot of high school.
Yeah, I remember that.
The guns didn't change; the people did.
Yeah, I remember going to high school and they had gun racks in the trucks. I mean,
Absolutely.
that was in the
Texas.
90s.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of Andrew Breitbart? He passed away a couple years ago. He's kind of he was one of the very first conservatives to take humor to argue cases. And he's like,
right.
I find it interesting that the people that are complaining that they're never allowed to talk never shut up.
Right. Hey, wait, that's me. Damn it.
They're under your stick.
That's because I'm accountable. Oh no, they're on to me. Yeah, and I think it's just an accountability thing. Like if you really have a logical approach to and you have something to back up what you're saying, then I'll listen. And that doesn't mean you're going to change my mind, but I think, and I have, and I've had a lot of people that I've had to just cut out of my life, very toxic and hateful things being said to me. And I'm like, you've known me for 30 years. Like, how do you, and I used to care, but I'm like, no, I don't owe them anything from our relationship, our friendship in the past. I just don't, and then I have friends that were on different side of spectrums, and even if we did talk about it, it wouldn't matter because it'd be like, well, I get that, but we just don't.
Mutual respect.
But we just don't.
Are we talking autistic spectrum? Which spectrum are we talking about?
I'm on so many spectrums. My mother had me tested.
I'm not crazy.
My mother had me tested.
Well, for me, I'm not crazy. I have the paperwork to prove it.
Right.
Which is true. And it's nice having that. So people always laugh, and then one day I'm going to show up with my folder and go, release papers. They're
Trump
like,
that.
Oh, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. You were kidding this whole time. No, but
all humor has a seed of truth.
It does. That's what makes it funny. And George Carlin talks about with humor is every joke has to have an exaggeration that's taken way out of proportion. That's why it's funny.
But it has to have truth in it.
It does, generally speaking, it should, unless it's just abstract humor, whatever. But yeah, it has to have truth in it, but there has to be some sort of exaggeration to it, and I agree with that. But the problem is now it's, we've gotten to the point of, I'm offended, but no one was forced to hear it and be offended. And that's my biggest problem with the whole thing is like, because people ask me, do I ever get offended? I'm like, no one has that power over me. I don't get offended. I mean, do things bother me? Do I not agree? Well, sure. I just don't watch it. Or I
tell my kids all the time, it's your choice if you want to be offended.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, I don't, because it's just like, I don't even understand the concept at all. I'm kind of with Stephen Fry on that, where he's just like, it's not a superpower, so you're offended. Okay. So effing what? I don't know. It's really, really bizarre to me. And I think a lot of it has to do with the way that things are approached and they're discussed.
Well, I think it's interesting that the offense only happens one way.
Right.
They're worried about them being offended, but they don't care if you're offended.
Right. And that goes on both sides of the spectrum.
Yes.
Right.
And,
long as you're not offended. It's right. It's perfect.
I don't want to hear your opinion. I want to hear my opinion coming out of your mouth.
Yes.
Right. And
we are very diverse here, but we all have the same ideas.
Yes. Exactly right.
We're all different, but the same.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a Richard Jenny, who's one of my favorite comedians, talks about, he goes, it's really great because people talk about his politics, and he's like, yeah, and he goes, but basically by the end of it, he explains the far left and the far right, and then the way, and he said, I think it's, and he said, over here you got these bunch of this and blah blah blah. No, on the other side you got the opposite. You got a bunch of blah blah. And he goes, and I think it makes more sense, like right here in the middle, a bunch of flip flopping on the fence, can't decide. His point being is that everyone is right and wrong, and so I mean, it's just like people who want to they don't vote so they can bitch no matter whoever wins. But it always cracked me up because when people say, where do you sit on politics? I always just send that clip to them.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't, I mean, I have opinion on views, certain issues and things
Sure.
like that, but I don't really have issues with.
Bless you.
All
All right.
Excuse me.
And
And
that was a great sound on.
oh yeah. Oh man, Carly gets pissed when I do that sound. She'll be trying to sleep. I'm like,
Thank God she doesn't listen.
she doesn't listen to me at all.
That's
And
what I said.
I don't blame her.
Yeah.
I do not blame her at all. Because it'll be,
What were you saying? I'm just
yeah, first thing in the morning is I'm done with you. I'm like, you say that every single morning. And yet here I am and I haven't changed.
Thanks. I would like a beer.
I love that. It's like, gosh, and
That's offensive. I'm just kidding.
it's like you weren't even listening to me. And I was like, God, what a weird way to start a
Huh?
conversation.
Were you talking?
That sounds like us at work.
What's
Yeah.
Who was it? Is it
Juicy Smollett?
no, was
No.
it Segura? He was like,
Probably.
or no, Bill Burr.
Bill
It's
Burr.
like all of a sudden you hear the da-da-da-da, and you're like, shit, that's
Yeah.
a question.
And I don't have an answer. Oh man, he's cracking me up. He was cracking me up when he was on I was watching a clip of him on Conan when he was talking to Elijah Wood about guns.
Oh god.
And so Elijah Wood was talking to he was telling us like, I've had this reoccurring dream where like I'm in my of a home invasion, someone coming to my house, and he goes, I don't have any weapons in my house. It's not something that I'm familiar with. And you can tell he wasn't anti. He just was saying, and I like Elijah Wood, but anyway, he was just kind of saying, so Bill Burr comes on. He's like, hey, I had that same dream. He goes, this is what you want to do. You want to get a 22. Okay. Like, and he starts going this whole big thing. He's like, yeah, people are like, my friends will make fun of 22. What are you shooting a squirrel? It's like, well, you don't want to shoot him with a 44, because you're going to, you're going to kill the robber and you're going to take your dog's head off and you're going to drop the engine out of your car, And so he goes this whole thing and he looks, he's like, basically, I'm telling you how to kill somebody on national TV. So I get a 12-22, pop. So when the guy comes around the corner in your room with a sickle, you're just like a sickle, But it was so
the
funny
Kaiser blade.
where he talks about he's telling Elijah Wood what gun to get to kill someone in his
Right.
house, and he
Yeah.
just no care at all,
Yeah.
whatever, And I'm just like, but he's right, like yeah, I agree with him.
Absolutely.
Actually, get that or a 9mm with hollow point. That's all you need, But it was just like, oh man, I was like, oh, that guy he's amazing.
Yeah.
And as far as I've read, he's supposed to be back and more involved in the third season of Mandalorian. I'm hoping that he does.
Speaking of Bill Burr, I just saw that there's new episodes of F is for Family.
Oh yeah,
This is the last season.
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be. And how many was it? This was
3 or
4. I can't remember.
Well,
Only 3 or 4 episodes?
Yeah. No. Seasons.
No seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This
I think
is
this
fourth
is the fourth.
season. Yeah.
Yeah, I never could get into it. I just kind of
It's queued up, but I haven't. I've watched little bits of it. But
I've watched all 3 seasons.
It's
but-
one of those things where I start watching it and my kids walking. I'm like, oh, I gotta turn this off.
yeah,
And then I forget to go back to it.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. It's like his midget porn.
Yeah.
Amputee midget porn.
At least they're only short films.
Three-
Oh, sorry.
3 midgets having a 1.5 some.
They're just short clips.
Oh, jeez.
They're so short. Their feet are on their driver's license pictures.
Oh my gosh! I'll tell you what. Some of the coolest pictures I saw because if you have any admiration for actors, Peter Dinklage definitely has to be up there. The guy's amazing, and has the pictures of him with his daughter, who's his height, right? And I'm just like, how cool is that? He's just out there pushing her on her bike to learn how to bike, and like him standing is where she is sitting,
Right.
on the bike,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's just really cool.
Well, that's
Pictures.
like, I don't know if you know Brad Williams or not.
Yes, he's hilarious.
He's like, I'm gonna have to get the ladder out to threaten my daughter's boyfriend.
That's right. He is hilarious. It was the yeah, there's something that he goes off too about how things aren't funny or this, and he's another one of those that's like, no man, it's like we got to have that humor. We got to quit censoring it.
Yeah, his wife is Asian, and their daughter is a mixed white Asian dwarf. He's like, she
Holy
can walk
Moses.
into Google and say, I want your job.
It's like Josh Blue's one of my favorite comedians, and he's the one with cerebral palsy.
Yep.
He's married to a Japanese woman, and he's literally he's from Africa. He was born in Africa, so he goes, I'm a disabled African American, and my wife's Japanese. We look really good on paper. Like
Right.
we could get any loan or any. We could just, and I'm like, that is just so wrong. But it's just like, yeah, I'm African American. Shit. And I'm like, well, yeah, you can get away with that.
Well,
He's hysterical.
I found this interesting. He was actually on the Olympic soccer team
Yes.
for the Special Olympics.
Yeah,
So, like,
apparently this the second largest sporting, only second to able-body Olympics.
Who
Guys,
is
it's
this?
Josh Blue. If you haven't
Josh
seen him,
Blue.
I will send you some links. But
Okay.
one of his favorite bits is actually on Dry Comedy. If you ever go to YouTube channel Dry Comedy, but yeah, he talks about being on the Paralympics, and he's like, and we were terrible, man. We were going against teams like Russia. Russia beat us 11-1. And the one was they scored on themselves. The Russians got tired of shooting at our goal. They're going to take some real shots and shoot at their own goalie for a while. And that guy stopped a bunch of their shots, man. Because you're a bat out there when you start going, okay, well, there's nothing even wrong with that guy right there. We need a neurologist out here. I'm calling BS number 14. Then the guy walks by, his hands out backwards, and you're like, oh, okay, he was fine.
That's all backwards.
So, but he's another one of those where people would he's great, and so he ended up going on Ellen, right? And so a lot of his fans are going on. They're going, "Oh, we love you, Josh. I can't believe you went on Ellen. Why'd you blah 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 blah?" And Josh will go back there going, "Hey, man, thanks for being happy for me that I'm on
national syndicated."
And I'm
show.
like, you know what? He's right. It doesn't matter what your opinions are on her, whatever. Like, they just be happy for the. I mean, there's always going to be. I mean. There's got to be points where you got to do things for your career. I mean, and I was like, you know what? I agree with him wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like her either, but I'm just like, that's great for his career.
Sure,
I mean,
of course.
I loved how he just went on there with his own fan. He's like, and then that guy probably felt, foreign just all after that. But it's just like Josh he's like, dude, I don't care. Like I'm a comedian with cerebral palsy.
Have you guys watched Tom McDonald's new video? He has a new one called Naked. And
Netflix?
No, he's a rapper comedian. He's like a kind of a rapper he's independent and he's blowing up.
That's not who I was thinking then.
And he had a line in his latest deal is that all my haters are broke ass.
Yeah.
And so he's like, the people that are wealthy they're not the ones hating on me. It's people that don't have the success. So so it's like if you're getting heat from people, assume they don't have anything.
That's true.
And you don't have to make them happy.
Yeah.
It's
right.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but he does like the whole thing in like grape underwear. It's pretty awesome.
You don't take grape underwear. Don't take criticism for people you wouldn't take advice from.
Yes.
That's a Simon Sinek one, I think, but it's just true. And if you're not in the arena with me, I'm not interested. I talk about that all the time. If you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked the same way, I have no interest in your feedback.
Yep.
Period. And I get it constantly.
That's a Brene Brown theory on her.
Yeah, I love her.
Daring Greatly.
Yep, it's a great book. If you have a chance, check out the TED Talks from Brene Brown. She's hilarious. She's actually from Houston.
Yep.
And so she has what she's talking about. She'll be on an airplane, and if she doesn't feel like talking to the person next to him, like, oh, what do you do for a living? She's like, oh, I'm a shame researcher. Shuts that down really quick.
Yeah.
And then she goes, and I'll usually follow up with, and I see you. I'm like, oh yeah, but she talks a lot. And that was a big part of my healing as when I came out, I dove into a lot of the Brene Brown because my biggest thing was shame, learning between shame and guilt and stuff like that. But, and once again, she'll have a little twist on it where it's funny.
Sure.
And she has a new book coming out,
mhm.
and she signed a 6-series deal with HBO Max.
Really?
So she's going to have a 6-part, I guess, part of that book launch. And
yeah,
I think it's funny because it's a book about loving yourself, and it's coming out on Valentine's Day.
Nice.
So I'm excited.
I love myself on Valentine's. What?
What?
Hey man, I was born November 13th. I know exactly what happened. I've done the math. I know I'm a Valentine's baby. Because I was 5 years away from my other siblings and not plans. And I was a drunken Valentine's Day baby, and I'm fine with that. I've come to peace with it.
Nice.
My parents won't admit it, but
math doesn't lie.
yeah, my dad's just like, well, I'm like, yeah, just plead the fifth and just see what. I don't care, but let's be honest with you.
Right.
So all of us November babies, we know.
We know.
Or at least early November.
Early November, first week or two. Yeah, and I'm fine with that. Actually, when my dad would always talk about it, he goes, oh, well, well, when you came around, that's when I went, oh, that's how that works. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate that.
You were 2 weeks late. You're actually a groundhog baby. You're
Yeah.
celebrating the spring.
He understood the assignment.
He understood the assignment. I guess his groundhog was out. What? I don't know. I got nothing. Well, it's
Ned?
Groundhog Day. Well, there's a thing talking about the best thing that Groundhog's Day could ever do is do Groundhog's Day 2 and then just re-release the original.
Exactly.
Just be brilliant.
The prequel.
And like, if anyone would do it, it'd be Bill Murray.
Oh yeah.
Just put out the same one again and just like
But call it a prequel. That'd be even
Prequel.
better.
Well, the interesting thing that I just found out is that Groundhog's Day was not filmed there. It was actually filmed in Plymouth.
Oh
Illinois.
yeah.
So if you go to the town looking in New York, it doesn't look anything like the movie. You're
No,
highly
Punxsutawney.
disappointed.
Yeah. Which I'm wondering why. I
It's in
mean,
Pennsylvania, right? Punxsutawney.
yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, and it's
I forgot.
it's
'cause
not that
one of
far
the-
from because he works in the station for Pittsburgh. So
Right.
yeah.
I forgot because Como killed one of the groundhogs. He dropped it. He was in his fur coat. He was like one of the guest people. And he dropped Phil and killed him.
Wow.
And so they had a backup that they brought out. And
Phil
like-
too. How many Phils are there?
there's been quite a few.
There's a lot of
been-
Shamus too. So yeah,
Yes.
people.
Yes.
You know, Shamu. I'm like, you understand? There's like 100 of them, right?
Yeah.
It's a product name, not a.
Yeah, it's a
Oh geez.
copyright.
You know, my brother, he worked at SeaWorld for years, and then so when that movie Blackfish came out, it was which is supposed to be a documentary on how they, you know, killer whales are so mistreated, blah blah blah. And he's just like, yeah, a lot of this isn't accurate. I mean, he was there the whole time, and so, but it's that's what you have to be careful with. Now, there may have been a park that did that, but it
Sure.
makes it look like all the killer whales.
Everyone.
He's like, man, if we went back there and the trainers felt anything off with Shamu or any of the whales at all, they shut the show down. They're like, nope. We're, you know, so there's, you know, he goes, now others, maybe, or whatever. But I was like, yeah, but everything's like that. I mean, documentaries, even you have to be careful with. Now it's the, you know, and that's why I kind of want to see Chappelle's because they're trying not to show it, which makes me really want to watch it. I mean, you know, that's the stuff I want to watch is when the
funny
media
thing-
and everyone's trying to shut it down.
Well, the funny thing is, Ben Shapiro, who owns the Daily
Yeah,
Wire,
yeah.
has reached out and said, "We'll publish it."
Yeah, we'll do it.
And he does. He's like, I don't know if I want to get in bed with you guys. Like, hey, if you're looking for a publishing house, we'll
Yep,
take you on.
Yep. Yep. And I really don't think Shapiro at all would be, and you're not in bed with us. We'll just
No.
release it.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of, but I don't know. But to me, that proves the point of, you know, I may not agree with what's on it, but it should be seen if it's got truth in it that a lot of us may not know and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I think Denzel Washington said it best when he was talking to that reporter about, you know, your job should be to report what's true. And it's not, it's who can get the story first.
Right.
Who's out there first and goes in. He told him, because y'all are part of the problem.
Yep. Wait 48 hours and see how many stories change.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reporter, you know, and he's just going, I don't, you know, of course, not the way Denzel Washington does with total class. But he's just like, yeah, you're not after the truth. You're after the story. And I mean, but it's kind of always been that way. I mean, the town crier would go out in the middle of the town with this thing from the king. And as the king was like, this is what I want you to tell them. I mean, and that was the media at the time, was the town crier. So it's always been that way. But now it's just so much stronger.
What was that Woody Allen movie where he was taking the village idiot to the village idiot convention in New York? It's like 73, 74. It's like right when I was born.
Gosh.
But it's just like he follows him around.
I'm trying to think of which one it is. Yeah.
But it's
yeah.
If you don't know who the village idiot is, it's probably you.
That's right. That's right. As my dad always told me before I went to college, he used to say, remember, if you're in a big room of people and everyone in the room is an asshole, guess what? You're the asshole because everyone else is in sync with each other. And I'm like, oh, cool. He goes, not that there's anything wrong with it. Just get the perception of it.
Right.
And I was like, cool. Thanks for the college advice, Dad. Yeah.
Off you go, son.
Off you go. Make me proud. Well, that ain't going to happen.
We're going to need you to lower your expectations.
Yeah. I'm a music major, Dad. And not even a good one at the time. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of that stuff this weekend that I was reading is all the topics that we had talked about today, where it's just, it always comes down to it's the lack of accountability, you know, and it just drives me up the wall to have so much more appreciation for someone coming out going. And that's why, you know, David Letterman, who I thought had a pretty good show and stuff like that. I never agreed with him, you know, politically in some aspects of like that. But, you know, when he had that affair and everything, he came out and said, yeah, so I had an affair. And I mean, he was like, you know, Dave got horny and was accountable for it. I was like, yeah, you know, and the thing is no one's talked about it since because you take out all the air in the balloon.
Yeah.
It's freeing. I
Wasn't
said
he,
there's a lot of freedom to being accountable because then there's no BS to keep up with.
Wasn't he a drummer for like Steely Dan or something?
Who?
David Letterman.
I don't know. Was he?
Yeah, he was.
They've had a lot.
He was a really good drummer, and he went in a different direction. He got into comedy.
Well, good for him, dumbass. I'm just kidding.
Right.
So I should go into comedy after all. But I'm not very funny. So
People laugh at you, not with you.
No, that's fine. They can laugh at me as
long
long
as
as
they
it
cash
pays.
checks.
That's right. You can laugh
Once
at
that
me all you
check
want.
clears the bank.
I'll stand up there and show my junk, and you can laugh at it if it pays enough. My little earthworm wearing a sweater.
1.5 some.
1.5 some. That's right. She said, "Give me 8 inches and make it hurt." So I did her 4 times and hit her. That's the way you end a show, right there.
Right. We should have waited like 10 more seconds, and it would have been gold. Gold.
And then I hit her. Thanks for tuning in to the show.
See you next week.
That's right. Yeah, you will see us next week, I think, if they let us back. And we'll be back here talking about who knows what, because every week, man, some stuff's happening.
Yeah.
It's
That's
going
the
to
great
be,
thing.
Yeah.
There's always content.
Yep, and we'll definitely have some Christmas humor next Monday. There's a lot of it out there, funny gifts that people have received and some things like that I've been working on and seeing. So
We've got a couple more weeks before Christmas.
we
but
do. Yeah, we do, man. Great talk today, fellas.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for whoever tuned in to James G Unsupervised with Mike and Philip. And we will holler at you on the flip-flop. All right, bye.
See ya.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Still a lot the experts don't know about the new coronavirus variant that continues spreading worldwide, including in the U.S., where it has now been detected in 17 states.
The jury is still out on how much protection vaccines offer when it comes to the Omicron variant. That question put to NIH Director Dr. Francis Collins.
We think they're probably going to be useful, but just how useful? That's an answer everybody wants. The scientists are all over this. We were kind of expecting that this would come along at some point. People are hard at work 24/7 to get those answers.
Collins is also expecting more variants.
To the extent that that's going to keep happening, if we don't have adequate immune protection across the globe, we're probably going to see something. We'll have to use some of the other letters in the Greek alphabet.
Collins appeared on NBC's Meet the Press. I'm Shelley Adler.
Professor Sarah Gilbert, one of the researchers behind the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID vaccine, warns next pandemic could be more contagious, perhaps more deadly, unless more money is spent on research and preparations to fight emerging viral threats. Former U.S. presidents paying tribute to former Republican senator and presidential candidate Bob Dole. He died over the weekend at age 98.
Donald Trump remembered Dole as an American war hero and true patriot for our nation. Bill Clinton called Dole a statesman and hailed him as a politician who put country over party. George W. Bush said Dole represented the finest of American values and said he will always remember Bob's salute to my late dad at the Capitol. And Bill Clinton paid tribute to Dole by saying he dedicated his entire life to serving the American people. Greg Clugston, the White House.
A three-party deal to form a new German government under center-left leader Olaf Scholz cleared its final hurdle, setting the stage for Scholz to succeed longtime Chancellor Angela Merkel this week. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hey, here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Out of deck carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Take me down to that old bridge once again, where we dance naked, hiding from the rain. Go back to that old dirt road once again, where we got lost and we couldn't find our way. I know it's so far away. I know this will never happen again. These are the moments locked up so far away. Locked up far away in my special hiding place. I will hang on to my memories, 'cause they're the only thing that won't ever leave me. I will hang on to my memories, 'cause they're the only thing that won't ever leave me. Go back to those lost last holidays, where we made love in my old bunk bed. Quickly hide away, now hide away from my family. It will never be good like that again. I know it was a tragedy that took you so far from me. These are the visions locked up so far away. Locked up far away in my special hiding place. I will hang on to my memories, 'cause they're the only thing that won't ever leave me. I will hang on to my memories, 'cause they're the only thing that won't ever leave me. These are the visions locked up so far away. Locked up far away in my special hiding place. I will hang on to my memories, 'cause they're the only thing that won't ever leave me. I will hang on to my memories. They're the only thing that won't ever leave me. fell into the lights. You didn't even know how far it would go. You didn't know, you didn't know. I tried to warn you so many times. She caught you staring at moonlight. Could you imagine the dark side? You couldn't even see the pain beneath. You couldn't see, you wouldn't see. I tried to warn you so many times about that girl. Her eyes can lie. Her mask is made of glass. If it shatters, it'll tear you to tatters. Her mask is made of glass, and when it shatters, it'll tear you to tatters. Oh, oh. Oh, oh. Golden hair will dry your tears. Her endless love didn't last a year. Oh, you thought you had it all, but I watched you fall. I watched you fall. I tried to warn you so many times about that girl. I tried to warn you so many times about that girl. Her eyes can lie. That's what they did. Took a long drive home through the pouring down rain tonight. You know the days I ain't heard from you, and days that just ain't nothing like. But still water won't flow up and over to the other side. And you can't make it rain, no matter how you try and try. Magic woman gonna drag you round. Pick you up and love you down. Magic woman gonna take you higher. Gonna steal your soul and burn like fire. So you wake up in the morning with the sun, wondering where you've been. In the night when a memory shines brighter through your every tear. You can touch it if you reach her, but you can't reach her every day. Keep you at a distance as you try to find a word to say. Magic woman gonna drag you round. woman gonna drag you around. Pick you up and love you down. Magic woman gonna take it higher. Gonna steal your soul and burn like fire. Gonna steal your soul and burn like fire. Words mean nothing now. Who's to blame? What it's real to believe?